Hello, my name is Abigail Kirchmer, and this is my presentation for Block One of ITM. Today I will talk about some relatively new and innovative concepts with regards to technology and the Internet. By the end of my presentation, I hope that you will have better knowledge of four main topics. These topics are the Internet of Things, cloud computing, computer hardware, and open source. I will begin this presentation by talking about the Internet of Things. The phrase refers to the interconnection of uniquely identifiable devices within the Internet infrastructure. In simpler terms, objects, animals, or people are provided with unique IDs that can transfer data over a network without requiring human-to-human or human-to-computer interaction. We'll look at some examples in a minute. I think it is important that we look at some specific application. I want to first look at medical and healthcare systems. By the use of the Internet of Things, we could do some remarkable things with regards to healthcare. Internet of Things devices can be used to enable remote health monitoring and emergency notification systems. These devices could range from heart rate monitoring to just general well-being. The next application that I think we should look at is environmental monitoring. The stated environment has become a hot topic in recent years, and the Internet of Things could potentially help us to monitor it closer. The Internet of Things would utilize sensors to assist in monitoring air or water quality, atmospheric or soil conditions, and even the movement of wildlife. As you can see, the Internet of Things can be utilized in almost all aspects of the world. In order for something to be connected to the Internet of Things, it must be assigned an IPv6 address. This is simply its unique ID. It is estimated that 30 billion devices will be connected to the Internet of Things by 2020. Connectivity means more data from more places with more ways to increase efficiency, improve safety, and security. The next thing I would like to talk about is cloud computing. Cloud computing, put simply, is the storing and accessing data over the Internet instead of your computer's hard drive. The only thing you need is the cloud computing system's interface software. This could be as simple as a web browser. Simple examples of cloud computing include Hotmail, Yahoo, and Gmail. Major benefits of cloud computing is that it can be used anytime, anywhere. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about cloud computing in the business world. There are three main types: software as a service, where business subscribe to an application. The next is platform as a service, where businesses can create their own custom application. The last type is infrastructure as a service, where players like Amazon, Google, and Rackspace provide a backbone that can be rented out. There are also other types of clouds. The three most common types of clouds would be the private, public, and hybrid. The private cloud is made and operated solely for one organization. The public cloud is when services are rendered over a network that is open for public use. And lastly, the hybrid cloud is a composition of two or more clouds, so it's generally a mix of private and public cloud. Now I want to go over and emphasize the importance of the cloud. The cloud will reduce costs tremendously. With use of the cloud, companies will no longer have to purchase and maintain costly software. The cloud can be adjusted to the needs of the organization. The cloud is also extremely stable. Companies will no longer suffer from downtime due to software problems. Cloud computing is much more consistent and all problems are dealt with externally. With all this talk about computers, I think it's important to talk about computer hardware. So by definition, computer hardware is all the elements that constitute a computer system. To be more specific, computer hardware includes the monitor, the mouse, the keyboard, computer data storage, hard drive, disk drive, system unit, graphic card, sound card, etc. From the picture, you can see a lot of things I just listed and a couple more. Now I want to talk about the three main types of computer systems. The first one I would like to talk to you about is the personal computer. They're the most common type of computer, mainly because of their versatility and relatively low price. The next type of computer is the mainframe computer. A mainframe computer is used to perform large numbers of calculations. The last type of computer is the supercomputer, which is used for extremely demanding computational tasks. I'm now going to talk to you about the different parts of a computer. First, there's the motherboard of the computer. The motherboard is the main component of the computer. It is a large rectangular board that has integrated circuitry. The circuitry is what connects the rest of the computer together. The motherboard includes the CPU, chipset, random access memory, read-only memory, and BUSYS. The next two parts of the computer that I want to talk about are the storage devices and the case. The storage device's main function is to retain digital data. Data is a core function and fundamental component of a computer. The case is the plastic or metal enclosure that houses most of the components. They are typically small enough to fit under desks, but in more recent years, more compact designs have come out. Laptops are typically housed in clamshell case. Finally, the last two parts of the computer I'm going to talk about are the power supply and input-output peripherals. They convert alternating current electric power to low-voltage DC power. Input-output peripherals are typically housed externally to the main computer system. Input devices allow the user to enter information into the system. Output devices display information in a readable form. My last topic for this presentation is a concept called open source. The definition of open source is software that can be freely used, changed, and shared by anyone. Open source software is typically made by many people and distributed under licenses that comply with the open source definition. On the screen, you can see many examples of companies that have chosen open source. While the term open source first applied only to software, I would like to point out that it has become an overall way of life. Open source projects, products, or initiatives are those that embrace and celebrate open exchange, collaborative participation, and community development. Open source software promotes collaboration and sharing because they allow other people to make modifications to source code and incorporate this into their own project. I want to make a clear distinction between open source software and regular software. As stated previously, open source software is software that can be freely changed and shared by anyone. The same is not true for other softwares. Closed software is software that cannot be modified by anyone but the person, team, or organization who created it and maintains control. Microsoft Word and Adobe Photoshop are good examples of software that is closed. There are many advantages to open source. For one thing is the misconception that open source only benefits programmers. In fact, programmers and non-programmers alike benefit. Much of the internet is built on open source. Many people like it because it allows them to have a lot more control over the software they are using. Lastly, open source software is more secure and stable. It is generally fixed, updated, and upgraded quickly. In summary, today we learned about 4 large topics. These topics were the Internet of Things, cloud computing, computer hardware, and open source. These topics are relatively new and tough concepts. I hope that today I helped you to understand and sparked an interest in you. Thank you for watching.